Imagine gathering in a candlelit room inside the White House. The Civil War has been raging outside, and grief hangs heavy in the air. A medium closes their eyes and claims that your dead child is standing beside you. Would you believe them? On this episode of Spirits Uncorked, we're diving into Mary Todd Lincoln's White House Séances, spiritualism, and the search for comfort after unimaginable loss. So pour a drink and join us. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Spirits Uncorked. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Erica.
Yes, we are sisters, and this is the podcast where we pick a weird, creepy topic and we talk about it while we're drinking wine or whatever. So,
Yes.
on that note, Erica, let's talk about what we're drinking. And you go first.
Okay. So I didn't get anything too crazy. This is like a French bottle, Chateau Pierre de Montignac. Um, I don't know. It's a red and it looks fancy. And I think I've drank something similar, maybe like the same brand before in the past. But this was bought for me from a friend. So that's what I'm drinking today. So you could say because Mary Todd Lincoln was very fancy and born from money, then that's the tie-in with my wine.
A bit of a stretch.
I was reaching, yes. What are you
Okay.
drinking?
I did okay. I did okay. So this wine is called Periphery. Periphery. Okay, that it makes sense if you think about it, because I looked up the definition of the word and it goes with the theme. The outer boundary, the edge.
Ah,
See?
okay.
Like if you're trying to talk to somebody just right outside the realm.
Right, right. I get it.
And it's a Sauvignon Blanc, so it's not like a gross red wine.
Which is what I'm drinking.
It's from New Zealand. And I thought it only appropriate for this episode that I'm drinking it out of my Taylor Swift tumbler.
Oh, well, we better explain that to everybody. Now we have to drink.
Yes, I have a feeling this is going to be a rough episode.
Oh
Okay.
boy. Small sips.
Okay, so if you don't know, Erica and I have an ongoing, I guess it's a drinking game by now, but it didn't start out that way. Every time that we mention either Abraham Lincoln or Taylor Swift, we have to take a drink. And that is because the universe just draws us to them. We don't know why. We don't know why. It
It
just,
it it just happens.
it's like, you know, that thing on TikTok where they're like, oh, men every day think about the Roman Empire. It's
Hmm.
like Erica and I, at least once a day, think about Abraham Lincoln and or Taylor Swift. At
And
least.
it's funny because we were driving to Indianapolis to go to a Taylor Swift concert, and we drove right past Abraham Lincoln's birthplace. And we were
Yeah,
like, it just is.
it just is.
Cool.
It's like
Uh,
you can't explain it. Yeah. So anyways, so every time that you mention Abraham Lincoln or Taylor Swift, we on our podcast, we take a drink. So I think
I'll be drinking a lot this episode,
I brought the
so
whole bottle
get
up.
ready.
So yeah.
Perfect.
If people don't know, I mean,
Mhm.
is this a common thing? Do people know that Mary Todd Lincoln had seances in the White House? Because I'm not sure that I mean, maybe I did kind of know that, but maybe it's not a very common thing that people know.
I think the topic has grown more recently, like in the last 10 years, because I feel like I did not know that when I moved out to this area, but now it feels like it's common knowledge.
Yeah. Well, it took place at a time where spiritualism was getting really popular. So we should probably start by talking about spiritualism. And that was like, it was
Okay.
not it wasn't like a fad or like a weird thing. It was like a real thing in America. It was like taking over the country and it was kind of like everybody was doing it. It wasn't like a weird thing
Mhm.
that only a few people did. It was like literally in the mainstream.
Right.
But let's define what it was. Yeah, I think we should turn the videos off because it's too glitchy.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if that helps.
Hello, 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 hello.
Okay. So Erica, tell us what spiritualism was.
Um, okay, so spiritualism in the 1860s in the Civil War era. It was a religious and social movement. Basically, the dead could communicate with the living through mediums, which I would also like to point out, like, that's giving witchcraft. And I just think it's kind of funny how they made a big deal out of killing everybody or all of these women for witches, and then it became like this kind of really popular thing throughout America. But
Yeah.
it became popular because during the Civil War, I mean, thousands of soldiers were dying every month. And not only from the war and how many people were dying from that, but also the regular things in those times, such as sicknesses. So there was a lot of death. And on these battlefields, there were so many dead bodies. These battlefields were so gruesome. There wasn't even enough people to bring back the bodies to the families. So there was never or many times there was no closure for these families, these mourning families who have lost their sons and fathers. And so it quickly became popular. I think it was the beginning of the 1840s is what it was.
Hmm.
There were these sisters, the Fox sisters, Margaret and Kate Fox out of New York. And they were children and they had moved into a house where a murder had happened several years before they lived there. And they didn't know it at the time. But they shared a room, and every night when they went to bed, they would hear these, they called it rappings, but basically like knocks. So kind of like sort of sound. And they told their mother about it, and the mother just kind of, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm sure it's just the house settling, or, they always write it off. And then eventually the mom could hear it too. And they were kind of being driven crazy by this knocking that started every evening when they were getting ready for bed. And so they had their neighbor come over and they were like, "Can you listen to this and make sure we're not crazy? It's not an animal. It's not, I don't know what they had going on in their houses, but anything
Hmm.
wrong." And the neighbor could hear it. And so the neighbor concluded, yes, this is weird. This is happening. You're not crazy. And so they decided to kind of play a game with the noise. And so they started asking the noise, the rappings, questions. And one of the questions that they asked it was, "How old is our neighbor?" And their neighbor was 33. And so they're like, "Tap how many times our neighbor is." And it tapped 33 times. Well, so apparently that really freaked them out. And so they moved. I guess they didn't move very far, but the neighbor was there, confirmed that it really happened. And then people wanted to go to the house to see what was going on. Like, just by word of mouth, this little stories started to become more and more popular. And so I guess as the girls got older, they lived in a different house, but they would often go back to their old house. I suppose nobody ever moved into it, is what it sounds like. And the knockings and the tappings were still happening. So the way Ouija boards worked back then is you would say the alphabet out loud, and then it'll tap when it wants you to stop. And so they started to
Mhm.
explore that more and more. And their oldest sister, Leah Fox, I guess as she got older, she did become an actual medium. And the sisters would all go there and they would basically do these seances with this spirit. And they confirmed, I guess, I don't know if they were like remodeling the barn or something like that. They found human remains buried in the barn. And so they concluded that the spirit is from those remains. And they were regularly doing this, and people from all over the place were catching wind of it. And there was so much death happening, and so much, there was no closure, no funerals, things like that. So people wanted to come and visit this spirit. And I guess Leah Fox, she was able to get in touch with somebody's daughter. And she was able to actually have a conversation with this person's daughter. And she had no idea that this person had a deceased child. So it caught wind. And it wasn't just like from farmers and small communities, like rich people were like, wait, what? And they were getting in on it. I think there was like a really popular family called the Posts, and they were very wealthy. And I think that they're kind of the reason why Mary Todd Lincoln ended up catching wind of this and began getting interested in seances. So it's like, it's kind of funny because it's just these two young girls. And when they got older, I think it was kind of when spiritualism was fading out, when they were much older, and Leah actually said that was just a childhood prank. And then a year later, she recanted it. So now nobody knows if it was a childhood prank. But the fact that it was just this thing that started in these girls' bedroom
Wow.
turned into a whole social movement. It caught like wildfire.
Yeah.
And so historians, they don't know if they really believe that it's true, but just the social part of it is amazing for that time. But also, it just goes to show how much people will do anything to find a coping mechanism or to find a way to heal themselves when depression wasn't really something that was, I guess,
Yeah.
not popular, but really defined in an
Right.
actual medical way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the backstory to the seances.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Erica,
it
we could have started something.
I know. It's so that was the background because traditional religion was kind of being questioned at that time, just based off of I think it was just the enormous amount of loss that people were experiencing. Two teenage girls in a small New York farmhouse started a phenomenon that reached the White House and shaped how people mourned the dead.
Wow. Amazing, amazing. Okay, so all right, so that was spiritualism. And so these mediums were becoming more and more abundant, and probably a lot of them were frauds because they saw this opportunity to prey off of people's desperation and vulnerability. And so some of them probably got really, really good at being fraudsters, but the key points of what a seance was, you would look for things like tapping and
Mhm.
the table shaking and kind of, what you see in movies and what else. It would get kind of physical, like physical things would happen. And
The
that's how you,
candles would
right,
get
flickering and oh, that reminds me of, remember that movie, The Others? Oh, that movie's so good.
I was just gonna bring that up because that's what I always think of is when they're doing this seance in there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a good movie. I want to watch it.
And then you realize the twist.
The twist.
I
We're
don't want to
not
give it away, but it's
dead.
good.
Oh, it's an old
Oopsie.
movie.
Yeah, really, really. It is. If you don't know it, then whatever.
All right, so let's talk about when it reached, why did it reach Mary Todd Lincoln? Let's talk about poor Mary.
Oh gosh. Yeah. She, what, she was one of 12, and her mom had passed away when she was really young. I think it was like when she was 9 years old. So she started a young life of grief. She was teaching herself more math and language and politics than most boys her age. And she like loved reading, just loved debating, I think is what was her main thing. And then she moved to Illinois because she was bored. I can't think. Yeah, she was born in Kentucky, like with a silver spoon. I mean, her family was super, super wealthy. And then she moved to Illinois to try to get away from that. I think she wanted more diversity. And so that's where she met Abraham Lincoln. But from what I found, they were really toxic. Their relationship, they fought a lot and they would break up and get back together. But essentially, he was very quiet, philosophical, and she was the driving force behind him. And she always knew that he was going to become president. And she couldn't be president, so she was going to be right there with him.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, the women are always the ones who make
Hmm.
it happen. So, but they had four boys, and three of them had died, and she was grief stricken.
That is some bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, well, and not to mention, she was from a family of 12, and so she lost a lot of her brothers and sisters. I think she even had more because of the stepmother. So during the war, like she was also losing a lot of her own family members. And it wasn't just the loss of her sons. I mean, it
Yeah.
was a lifetime of losses over and over and over, and having to fight and prove herself over and over and over. So I think that she was just incredibly stressed out. So when she started doing these seances, it was a coping mechanism.
I
Yeah.
I just hate that.
Yeah. After the death of her son Willie in 1862, that's when she became super interested in the spiritualism movement. And so she started doing the seances, and I mean, Willie was 11 years old,
Ugh.
and it just broke her. I think her first son died at 4 years old. So they were all so young when they passed. Meanwhile, the Civil War is raging outside, and her husband is the president of the United States, you know? I mean, I can't imagine the amount of stress. And she would do these seances so they could try to contact Willie. And they had big seances in the Red Room of the White House.
We should do a seance and just like talk to Mary and be like, I'm
Like,
sorry,
yo,
Mary. Like, if we could go back in time and give you therapy, like,
yeah,
you're a bad bitch, girl.
right, right. So it turns out that Abraham Lincoln, he did attend some of these seances,
Yeah,
but people felt like he was more skeptical and kind of curious. He
yeah.
wasn't necessarily believing in it. But there was one famous medium named Nettie Colburn Menard, and she later claimed that Lincoln consulted her before issuing the Emancipation Proclamation.
Mm-hmm.
And most historians treat those claims cautiously because they were written years afterward, but I think it's very possible.
Yeah. And she said something like, if you sign this, then this will be the greatest thing that you ever do, or something.
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Were these seances real? They were really happening.
Yeah, they really happened. And I think Mary Todd Lincoln she really believed in it with her heart. So she like really believed that Willie was in the room with her at times.
Hmm.
She really believed it. And she probably had to believe it. And I
Yeah.
think Abraham Lincoln, take a drink. I don't know if you've been
Don't worry,
drinking
I
every time you
have
said him,
been.
but
Yeah.
I think he maybe he was there more for like the support of his wife, or just or
Hmm.
again, it wasn't a weird thing to do. Even for the president, it wasn't a
Right.
weird thing to do. It was like, hey, this is what is happening in the country. So it wouldn't have been weird for him to do it.
Right. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of other hauntings that have happened in the White House that we can get into later. But poor Mary Todd, I mean, then her husband dies,
Ugh.
and she was completely inconsolable. Absolutely. I think that was like the final push for her, because it was about 10 years later after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln that her surviving son, Robert Todd Lincoln, petitioned a court to have her declared mentally ill because they were saying that she had extreme fears that someone was trying to poison or harm her, compulsive spending, carrying large sums of money. Uh, she was really paranoid. And so she was sent to live in Bellevue Place, which was a private sanitarium.
Mm.
And like historians agree that some of those symptoms kind of give anxiety disorder or possible bipolar disorder. But you also have to understand that, like, back then, the way women were treated,
Hmm.
I mean, you can't really trust any of that, in my opinion. She was
Yeah.
just genuinely a sad lady,
Oh.
a life of misery, basically.
Hmm.
And she was not a typical woman. She was very outspoken, very intelligent, and that probably scared people. She was not in that sanitarium for very long. I think they said because she was so popular. I mean, she was the first lady. So she wrote letters to lawyers and friends, and she was able to generate public sympathy all on her own. So that way she could challenge the ruling. So after only a few months, she was released to the care of her sister. And then a year later, the court did restore her legal competency and control over her affairs again.
Oh, I'm kind of mad at her stupid son for putting her in there. Gosh, that was the
So,
only son she had left, and he like puts her in there.
yeah, it turns out that their relationship after that really deteriorated. She never forgave him. And I think he probably genuinely was worried for her, but that it was very deeply damaged after that.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So that's kind of her story. There is like some other haunted stories of things in the White House.
Well, I think that even Abraham Lincoln himself
Yes.
supposedly haunts the White House.
Yes. Uh-huh. One evening, Grace Coolidge reportedly looked into a room and saw a tall figure standing by a window, hands clasped behind his back, gazing toward the horizon. And the figure looked exactly as Lincoln appeared in photographs. When she looked again, he was gone, and others claimed to feel his presence in the room known as the Lincoln bedroom. And some say they sense someone watching or they hear footsteps. And I guess perhaps one of the most famous stories was Winston Churchill. According to Churchill, he was staying in the White House during World War II, and one night after a bath, he emerged with a cigar in hand and found Lincoln standing near the fireplace. And I guess Churchill stared at the ghost, and the ghost stared back. And after a moment, Churchill allegedly said, "Good evening, Mr. President. You seem to have me at a disadvantage." And the figure vanished. Oh, another spirit said to linger in the White House is Abigail Adams. In the early 1800s, the White House was still unfinished and drafty, and Adams used the vast East Room to hang laundry because it was one of the few large open spaces available. Years later, staff members began telling stories, and late at night they would smell wet laundry or soap, or some claimed to have seen a woman moving through the East Room carrying folded linens, her arms full, her expression focused on her work, but she never spoke. Oh, this one is whatever. Apparently Andrew Jackson also haunts the White House.
We hate that guy.
We hate him.
Andrew Crackhead Jackson or Crapface. We gave him a full name. I forgot what it was.
Yeah,
Actually,
I don't remember.
a listener gave him a full name on Spotify. I forget what the whole name was.
I don't remember. But yeah, he's a piece of crap, and apparently people can hear him uh laughing in the
I'm
hallways.
sure he's laughing in hell.
Yes. And oh, this was one that I liked. I don't know who this person is, so if I'm stupid, fine, so be it.
We
But
might be.
David Burns,
I don't know who
and I
that
guess
is.
his property became part of the land on which the White House was built, so he might not be like super famous. But apparently, guards and employees occasionally report hearing a voice announce itself, and it says, "I am Mr. Burns."
Oh, nice.
I think that one's so funny. Like, okay, Mr. Burns, like, what do you even say to that?
If
Like,
you're gonna come back from the dead, that's the thing that you're gonna say. Like,
I'm just gonna announce myself in the room. I would like you to know that I'm there.
right. Hmm. So let's talk about the seances because they're not that different from Ouija boards or from EVPs or from any of the things that we really do today. They're not that much different.
Right.
And there's the potential for frauds, and there's the potential for people taking advantage of it and exploitation and all of that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
here's my question. Like Mary Todd Lincoln,
Mm-hmm.
right? If she did, she believed that it was true. She believed that she was talking to her son or that he was at least there, right? So if she truly in her heart felt that she was talking to her son and she felt comforted in doing so, then does it matter if it's real or not?
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if that's what brought her some sense of closure and some sense of healing, then what's the big deal? It's not my life, you know?
Yeah. You could probably say that about anything. You could probably say that about religion. You could probably say that about all kinds of different therapies. There's all kinds of therapy now, like not just
Right.
like counseling, but there's, um,
I
what
mean,
am I
it's not
thinking
like
of?
crack cocaine or something like
Right.
that.
Right. But like what am I thinking of where they do the really deep dive therapy? It can kind of like it almost has the potential to re-traumatize you, but then some people find it really helpful. So if you find it
Is it
helpful,
like
then
the
I don't know. It's kind of on the tip of my tongue, but I can't. Oh,
oh
EDM. Is
wow.
that what I'm thinking of? EDM?
It's EMDR. Eye
EMDR.
movement
What the
desensitization.
hell is EDM?
Electric. It's music, electronic music.
Oh, that's what Ricky listens to.
Oh gosh, of course he does. It's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it literally brings up Mary Todd Lincoln.
What?
And it says, yeah,
Why?
just it says interestingly, because it brought up a whole bunch of other different like schema therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, existential therapy. And it says, interestingly, in the 1860s, when people like Mary Todd Lincoln were attending seances, modern psychotherapy did not yet exist. Many people sought comfort through religion, spiritualism, family support, blah, 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 as a therapeutic approach.
Well, that's crazy. Isn't that
That is,
weird? That's a crazy connection, huh?
yeah, that is really weird. I wonder if it's like listening to me talk. I don't know. That's weird.
That is, oh, maybe it is. Maybe Mary's in the room with us.
I mean, hey, what's up, girl? You want a glass of wine?
That poor thing. She does need a glass of wine and a massage.
Mhm. I did get a chance to go to the theater where Abraham Lincoln was shot.
Yes, I know you
Unf
did.
Oh, yeah, but I didn't even get to go into the actual theater because they were doing an actual play. So the next time you come into town, I think I literally said all of this exactly on another episode. But we should go see a show there.
Yeah, we should. Maybe you have to book it like really far in advance or something.
Probably. And then
Or
right
is everybody not as obsessed with Abraham Lincoln as us?
Well, okay, according to Schmidt on New Girl, statistically, everybody in America thinks of him at least once a day. And I find that to be a very credible source.
True.
But right across the street is the house where Abraham Lincoln died. So we could go
Hmm.
do a seance over there and,
Okay.
just kind of see what's going on.
Okay. I'm fine with that. Are we ready to do Would You Rathers? I've got one.
Okay.
Would you rather spend 1 hour talking to Abraham Lincoln or 1 hour talking to Mary Todd Lincoln?
Oh, crap.
I know,
That one's a hard one.
isn't it?
Oh, poop. I mean, obviously, I want to talk to Abraham Lincoln, but I mean, once I did kind of more research on Mary Todd Lincoln, she was the driving force behind all of this. She made this happen for him.
Mm,
So, I mean, I guess
I,
maybe her. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Listeners, tell us what you would do
Tell
because
us
we're
what you would
stuck.
do, Abraham or Mary. Tell us which one, because I don't know that I can choose right now. I'm having
I'm
trouble. I'm
I'm
not
leaning
leaning one way or the other.
towards I'm kind of leaning towards Mary Todd, but I mean, I would love to talk to both.
I think before this episode, I would have said Abraham,
Yeah,
but now that we've talked so much about Mary, I'm like, God, I kind of want to talk to her.
I know. Okay. Would you rather spend a night alone in the Lincoln bedroom or in the Fox sisters' house at the height of spiritualist craze?
Fox sister's house.
Oh, yeah, I kind of would have to go with that too.
I'm disappointed that I didn't get through more wine. I don't think that we drank every time that we mentioned Abraham Lincoln.
I've just been taking little sips throughout. I can't say I'm in love with this wine. It's probably just too fancy for me. I'm a
Yeah, we're not fancy people.
I have a cheap palate.
Let us know what you would do in all the would you rathers. And, let us know your take on this. If you enjoyed this episode, rate us on Apple and Spotify. Follow us on Instagram at spirits.uncorked.
Tell us your stories.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.